Okay. Good morning. Who finished
Morning.
off the month strong?
Uh, Strong as I could have made it.
Okay. How is your coach supposed to react to that?
Um, with sensitivity, I hope.
With sensitivity. I
Wow.
love it. I love that. I just ask yourself, can you get 1% better today?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Can you defeat one more distraction today? Right? Can you
Yes.
study one more thing today? Can you spend a couple more minutes practicing today? Right. All right. Just don't forget today is or yesterday was the last day of the month. So just put all your numbers in because December 1st, everyone that all my coaches are, how are your people doing? How are your people doing? What are your numbers? What are your numbers? So just do me a favor and catch up. Just put the numbers in there, however big or small they are. Okay. All right. The stars of the show are not here yet. So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about our topic today, kind of from a global standpoint, and then we'll get into some of the details with Michael, who I see parking right now, and Candace as well. So as I've mentioned before, when we're talking about our database, um, our topic today, we're going to talk about something kind of secondary, which I don't normally talk about too much. And I'm going to make sure that we cover it today in great detail. So when you're building your database, remember, we suggest that the size of your database, and let me rephrase that. I want to talk about Mets and local people for the moment. Okay, so these are people that you have had a two-way interaction with, and these are people, okay, you've had a two-way interaction with, and they live in Metro Atlanta, meaning they live in a part of town that you would likely service, right? So if they live in Stockbridge and you don't want to go to Stockbridge, then you should tag them out of area or not in Atlanta or something like that. And then everyone else that you have relationships with, maybe they're your friends or family or people that lived in a city that live in a city that you used to live in or something like that. Those people should be tagged out of area or not in Atlanta, something like that. And then when you look at your database, there's kind of two segments. There's all the people that are local that you're in relationship with, and there's all the people that are not that do not live in an area that you would service. Okay. So what we want to do is we look first to make sure that we have at least 16 times the number of people in the database, local Mets, that we want to close that year. So if you've got a goal to sell, let's say 20 houses in 2022, then you should have 320 people. Yes, 320 people in the local Met database. Okay. And if you currently don't have that, that should be one of your chief priorities, right? How do I get more people in my database, and how do I continue to deliver the value that they need at that moment? The only way that you're going to know what the value they need at the moment is to ask them, right? And to deepen that relationship. However, we don't want to forget all of the people that we knew from our previous lives. Like I know, Melissa grew up in a different part of the country. Let's see, what else do I know? Markia grew up in a different part of the country, I think, right? No, I won't call
No,
anyone.
I'm born and raised in Atlanta.
All right, 1 for 2. So
Tracy
basically,
different area.
what's that?
Tracy is from a different.
What part of the country are you from, Tracy?
Northeast.
Where?
She's
where
from
specifically?
Jersey.
Jersey.
She's from Jersey.
Hey, say it proudly, no problem. No,
I'm a Jersey
don't be
girl.
bashful. All right, so Tracy's a Jersey girl. Okay, so Tracy's probably got a lot of deep relationships with people that do not live in Atlanta and they live in Jersey, right? Or they've moved from Jersey to somewhere else in the country, right? So we don't want to just forget about all those relationships. So the way that we handle that is we tag them the fact that they're not in Metro Atlanta, and then we need to give them a marketing offer, if you will, or a communication system that touches on the things that are most relevant to them. Again, what does that mean? Well, you got to ask the questions. right? You got to let them know, number one, not only can I service people in Metro Atlanta, but I can also help introduce you to a realtor wherever you happen to need a realtor, right? So maybe it's in New Jersey, or maybe you're talking to your friend who lives in Philadelphia and they don't have a realtor, and you say, oh my gosh, you got to call my friend Tracy. She lives down in Atlanta, but I know she can connect you with an awesome realtor that knows that specific area very quickly, very easily, no commitment, no cost, nothing, right? And that'll prevent you from going into the phone book and basically saying, I hope this one's good, right? Or on the internet and hoping to God that the one that you randomly select is a solid agent that has a, heart of a teacher and full of integrity and all that kind of stuff, right? So I say all that to say, number one, you can be putting out a message to those people, let's say once every quarter or so, just reminding them that you're in the business and you can help people wherever they happen to be. Okay. Now, mechanically, the way that you do that, or one way you could do that, I should say, is you can go to kw.com. You scroll all the way down to the bottom left corner, and there's a little icon that says find an office. You type in the name of the city that you want to, that your person is, interested in. Let's say it's, what's the city in New Jersey, Tracy?
Maplewood.
Okay, so you type in Maplewood, New Jersey, and you click on it, it'll pre-populate, and then you'll see a map of all the local Keller Williams offices that are nearby. And my recommendation is you call the number on that page. That's going to be the number to the main office, like you would call Melody. And you say, hey, Melody, this is Tracy Trent. I'm a real estate agent down in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a friend and client who lives in your area and is considering selling their property. And I was hoping that you could connect me with the team leader so that I can get the best referral, right? Sometimes that's a little more, sometimes that can be a little challenging. Sometimes it's super easy. Ultimately, what you want is, you don't want I hate to say it this way, and I know I'm probably going to hurt some feelings, but I don't necessarily want the person who just got their license and like happens to be sitting on desk duty, right? I want the person who's a bold graduate, who is engaged in the office, right? Who displays Keller Williams culture, right? Who's a leader, right? Who works every day to become better at their craft, right? So I might say, I want somebody who's on the ALC or has served on the ALC. I want somebody that's been to Bold. Hint, hint. That's the way you become a leader, right? That's the way you start to become recognized in the office by some of your accomplishments, right? And then you're more likely to be selected for an opportunity like that. Okay. Typically the commission, all the commissions are negotiated, but generally the referral fee is about 25%. So you just double check that 25% is reasonable. You do the broker to broker referral form, which is a GAR form, and then you pass along the information to that real estate agent. And your job from that point is just to check back in with the referee, the person locally in that area, to make sure they're happy with the first meeting, and you check back in with the realtor to make sure they're happy, and then you just check in with the realtor and the other person every couple of weeks and just make sure everything's going smoothly. Okay, when the deal closes, they cut you a check and you get paid the 25% of the commission. Okay, and that money is treated just like any money that you would be paid through Keller Williams with splits and all that stuff. Couple of quick caveats, and then we'll move on to the star of the show, which I'm looking at right now. First of all, you're not required to use Keller Williams. Okay, so if let's say you have a referral source a referral lead in Detroit, and you have a really good friend who's a real estate agent in Detroit, and they happen to be with a different company, that's fine. You can send business to whoever you want. Okay, and of course, there's also parts of the country where there isn't a local Keller Williams office, right? Like Keller Williams doesn't have a huge presence in like the North Georgia, like the mountains up there, right? There's really not a Keller Williams office up there. So you can send it, like Century 21 is a big player up there. So I've sent a business to Century 21 up there when there wasn't a KW agent nearby. Reason why I obviously like Keller Williams is because these agents, they like the culture, right? I mean, if they didn't like the culture, they wouldn't be there, right? So they're generally caring and sharing, and they're learning based, and they take their craft seriously in these things. Not to say that others don't. I just have a better idea of what's going on here. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. So I want to go through a couple of things real fast, which is that's kind of the overarching idea of how referrals can work. Does anyone have any questions on that before we introduce Michael? Because Michael has successfully done what I just explained, and I want him to explain that process in detail. Any questions thus far?
No, but Bill, I would love to share after Michael how to generate out of town referrals.
Beautiful. You were going to be next. Exactly.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Michael, tell us everything that happened from moment one.
Well, I'm one of those people also that is actually from out of town. I grew up in Baltimore, and I was actually home for a benefit concert for a close friend of mine, and tons of my friends were there. And we were all, talking, and I was just doing the regular garden variety, party chatter, talking about the market, and people were asking me about it. And why do you ask? And one of my good friends, Chris, and his wife Melanie, they live actually in Annapolis, and they live right on the Chesapeake Bay. They're big boaters, and they're like, we're looking for a house. We're looking for a second home down in Marco Island. And we've been looking for a couple months and really just, haven't, had any success. I was like, well, you got to let me help you find the right agent down there. That's your biggest problem. And so they took me up on it. It was great. Like the next day he followed up and called me back, and I did exactly what you said, Bill. I called, I looked up where their offices were down there, and there was an office right on Marco Island, Florida. And I called down there and I asked to speak to the team leader. And then I told him about my friends Chris and Melanie, and I said, they're big boaters. They're looking for a house that's on one of those canals, because if you're at all familiar with Marco Island, it's a lot of different canals that all basically your backyard is like a waterway. And they wanted one with a slip because they're boaters. And I said, who's the right agent down there that can help them find the right house? And right away, they suggested this guy, Michael Ludwig, who is actually a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. He's a big agent down there, knows literally everything about every property that's on the market, off the market, coming soon. And I said, that sounds great. And so I called him up, and he was very friendly, and he sounded like he really wanted to help. It's like, yeah, I'd be happy. Tell him to come down. I'll be happy to take him out on my boat and show him around, and he can point out all the different properties that are for sale, that are on the water. And it was great. And they did that, and I hooked them up, and they were really excited about it. And they I think they were down there within like a week or two to visit with him and have him basically give them a tour of the island. And he did a great job. And he even, here's another thing. Their budget was $1 million. And I started looking down there as soon as, I started, the process about, just what was for sale down there, what they might be looking at. And everything was like 1.4. That was the bottom. The rock bottom price was 1.4. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to work. But I told him that. It's like, look, when I first talked to Michael Ludwig, I said, their budget's only $1 million. He said, that might be tough. But, anyway, long story short, he totally pulled a rabbit out of a hat and found this house that was for sale by owner. It had been on the market for a while, just sort of sitting there. And he ended up making this deal work somehow. And they were thrilled. They were down there a couple more times, and they did all the inspections, and they closed I think November 12th. So it was like 2 months from the time that I talked to them to the time they closed. When I first talked to my friends, and it was a great experience for them. But anyway, of course, they've invited me down. Can't wait to go visit them. And but then, so my wife kept nagging me. You got to say something about that on Facebook.
She won $1 million house on Marco Island too.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I I finally put a post on Facebook about how, my friends Chris and Mel, they're not going to have to suffer through any more Maryland winters, that I helped them find the perfect agent down on Marco Island. And, I said something corny like, anywhere you want to go, I can help you find the perfect agent to help you there. If it's not here in Atlanta, whatever I said, I don't know. But I got another referral. So some other friends of ours that live in Milton, they were actually down in Marco Island when I made that post. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, who's your guy? We're down here now. We think now's the right time to buy." And so anyway, of course I, turned them right on to him and signed the referral papers and everything. And he was really excited. Although when I called Michael about it, I said, "I got another couple for you. And I think their budget's going to be a lot more than my last couple that I sent to you." He's like, "Well, that's good, because that one was really hard to do." But anyway, so they're looking at probably buying something closer to $2 million down there. So I'm really looking forward to getting that referral check in the mail. That's going to be pretty awesome. But
I
yeah.
I don't even know
I
if I
wanna
knew about the second one. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know. They were actually down there, and she's like, "Yeah, this is my happy place. I love it down here." And they had just sold their house in Milton, which I'm a little disappointed they didn't ask me, but whatever. And now they bought some big farm in Dawsonville, and they're like, "Yeah, we want to have a place down here." And they're like, "Yeah, money's so cheap. We really think now's the time to buy." Like, yes, it is. So anyway.
I just want to point out that Michael said that Michael's mindset has shifted, because I heard him say, their budget was only $1 million, only $1 million. That's a shift in your mindset, Michael.
Down there, $1 million, like,
Yeah.
can't get you much. And
Yeah.
so,
Love that. Only $1 million.
Yeah, but in a strange way, it's like when you take that new mindset, like Candace is discussing, and you bring it back, you kind of put yourself back in Metro Atlanta, Roswell, or whatever, then maybe you're not I'm not saying you were intimidated by, $1 million plus people, but now you're certainly not as intimidated if you were, right? It's like, oh, there's $1 million FISBO. I know how to deal with those people. I'll call them. What's the big deal? Right.
That's right. Absolutely.
I
So
love
I don't
that.
know if I have much more about the story.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, I don't know how much more you want me to add to the story, other than it works. I mean, when you call these offices and talk to the team leader, that happened to me in Greenville too. I had a couple that were going to move. The guy got himself a great new job. He works for a bank, and he was going to be selling his house in Roswell, and they're moving up there. And so I called the office up there. There's several offices, and the one that actually answered the phone got the referral basically. And I talked to them and said, described this couple to them, and they got a great agent, and I hooked them up. We'll see if that pans out. I'm not sure, but I was pretty pleased with that process of calling up the team leader and talking to him.
And I just want to point out
the likelihood of that. Go ahead.
I just want to point out one other thing. Michael said the one that answered the phone got the referral. Do you know how, I mean, I know all of us have experienced how frustrating it is when you want to do business and somebody doesn't answer their phone. So you move on, right? You move on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't have time for voicemails and, calling me back, within 24 hours. Yeah. No, that there was one office, there was 3 offices in Greenville, and I called all 3, but it was the third one that actually picked up the phone. I think it's going to work out better anyway. It was closer to the area they wanted to move to, but still,
And I just want to say that those there are agents who do set their hours. Like I will return calls between 2 and 4. That works for some people, but for a lot of those agents, who don't answer their phone, they have a team that does answer their phone.
Yeah, great point. I think the first time I ever received a commission check was also through a referral. And it was actually down in Florida too. Lutz, Florida, if I remember correctly, many years ago. I think that the takeaway here is a couple, and then Candace, I'm gonna let you share if you're cool with that. Your some ideas on generating some out of the area referrals. I think the one takeaway is that the more you engage in the office, the more the leadership and those that might have opportunities are likely to share those opportunities. For those that are in bold, congratulations. That's a big deal. I thought you were going to say Amber Rutherford, who's the OP down in Marco Island, the owner of the Marco Island office. She's a former bold. I think she's still a bold coach, but I've taken bold with her, and she's phenomenal. Her and her team, they're one of the top agents in all of Florida. You know, you just gotta. The more you engage, the more people you know, the more and the more people know what you do and why you do it and how you do it, the more opportunities will come to you. Right.
Yeah. Sure.
All right, Candace, tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, so Michael hit on a very important part of it is how do we generate those out of town referrals? Well, a lot of people don't know we can help them in other states, right? A lot of people don't know that. So what we have to do, and what Michael did, was he leveraged the couple he helped and posted it on social media and said, hey, I can help you anywhere. And guess what? He got a referral from that because somebody didn't know he could help them, and they might have never thought of it before. So the first job is to get the information out there on our social media that we can help people. And then this is a second idea is, what if, you know, those of you who coach with me know that I love video and know that that sometimes I say it's, what if you're the agent that goes out and spotlights neighborhoods and businesses in your area, and you say, well, here I am at Horseshoe Bend. Horseshoe Bend is made up of 1,400 homes. It's a very a lake community, and it's got these amenities, and the prices range from such and such. And you do a quick little video. What if you did that for a state? And here's the way that you could do that. You could search out the agents, Keller Williams or not, and talk to them and say, why are people moving to your state, or why are people moving to your city? And then get those caveats, and then do a little video of what you've learned about, hey, in this time of, you know, our world has shifted. A lot of people are working from home and they get to choose wherever they want to work. Would you like to live in Boise, Idaho? Guess what? These are some of the things to know about Boise, Idaho. And here's some fabulous things about what people say about living in Boise, Idaho. And by the way, I can help you if you decide you want to look there. And then you would hashtag all over the place, hashtag Boise, Idaho, hashtag Boise homes for sale, hashtag Boise realtors, hashtag all over the place, anything to do with Boise real estate, and start getting some people that are following you based on the states that you're highlighting. So that's my short caveat for that.
Right. Thank you. I think the thing in between, there's one thing that has to happen in between, which is what we've talked about this before, which is part of your lead generation. Just like you're lead generating for home buyers and home sellers, you could lead generate for a real estate partner in Boise, Idaho. By the way, Boise, Idaho is one of the top offices in all of the Keller Williams system, believe it or not. It's generally in the top 10 for just about every category there is.
People love it there.
Okay.
And you would say, agent, you know, hey, I'm going to be marketing, I'm going to be generating some leads for your city, and I'd love to have you as a referral partner, and love to be your referral partner here as well.
Right. So it's a combination of getting into relationship with an agent in a marketplace that you might like to penetrate or to expose, and learning about that marketplace, and then learning, you know, you can research travel patterns. Like there's my assistant did some research a few weeks ago that I posted. What are the top cities that people are moving to Atlanta from? Right. It was like, I think if I can go back and look, but it was like San Francisco and Dallas and Denver and Charlotte and Chicago, I believe. I want to say it was like New Orleans too. So if you learn that kind of stuff, I could go and say, hey, there's a lot of people moving from New Orleans to Atlanta. So let me go find a couple agents down in New Orleans that know that I work in Atlanta and I know they work in New Orleans. And maybe we can share some information about how to attract customers to our little network. Right. Remember, every single person you see is a potential client. They got to live somewhere. They're either going to buy it or rent it. And good thing is we can help with both. And if they need to buy or rent something in a different part of the country, or in an area, let's say in Macon or something, right? I'm technically, we're all licensed to service people in Macon, but I don't think I would be able to look somebody in the eye and say, hey, I know all about the trends in Macon, Georgia. I don't know anything about Macon, Georgia. Right? I'm going to let somebody that lives down in Macon, who works all day down in Macon, service that person because that's the right thing to do. Right? Y'all follow that? Like, I mean, I've talked to people that are like, oh, I got this friend that wants to move down to Marco Island, Florida. Let me go get my license down there. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Right? Just go find a partner and send them the business and go find some more leads locally. Any questions, thoughts, ideas? Has anyone else done this
I have a
successfully?
question, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you have a client that's indecisive between where you are and just say Macon, Savannah, what's the conversation you have with the other agent? So like I've had conversations that say, hey, if they decide, you know, like you can sign a buyer brokerage agreement, but I have one here, depending on where, you know, depending on where they actually want to put a contract in that. Because I don't really want to mislead anyone if they decide that, okay, now I want to be here in Atlanta just because they're kind of filling out the areas.
In a
Wouldn't you
weird kind of way, I think I would use that as an eliminating criteria. I would say, hey, Markia, I understand you're a real estate agent down in Savannah. Is that right? Yes. Okay, well, I have a family that is deciding between moving to Savannah and moving to Macon. And just for full disclosure, I'd like to find them an agent that is willing to spend a little time with them and educate them on the market down there and perhaps show them some property. I'm going to be doing the same thing in Macon. I don't know what they're going to do. Are you interested in a job like that? And if they say
And so
no,
if they
you're not my
show
guy.
them under the impression that they will get a referral, would you still pay them a showing fee if they
No.
don't end up I guess
Buying.
buying there?
No. If I called you today and I said, Markia, I got a couple that may move to your area, would you spend a little time with them? You would say yes, of course, right?
Right.
Okay, that's the end of the story. No.
Okay.
And if they say, well, if they're not going to buy, then I'm not going to spend any time with them. Say, sir, I'm so glad you told me that right up front. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'd move on and find somebody different.
Okay.
I want somebody who's
But
interested
I guess
in
it's okay for them to
relationship.
have multiple. It's okay for someone to have multiple buyer brokerage agreements if it's in different areas.
That's getting into a little hairy, but what I would probably say is, please stipulate in the buyer brokerage agreement that if they buy a home in my metro area, then I would be compensated. If they buy a home outside of my metro area, then I would not be. Something like that.
Okay.
Could they technically have let's say they were trying to decide between Macon and Savannah, both of which are in Georgia, both of which are going to have local agents with local MLSs and all that. Yeah, that's probably a state issue, but I think if you were to stipulate it and everyone kind of was aware of, the kind of the boundaries, I think that would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay. Now, let me give you a warning. This is just an idea. It's just a possible way to continue to help other families be successful in their real estate measures. What I do not want you to hear is, let me go spend the next 3 weeks learning all about Boise, Idaho, and forget about the fact that I'm licensed in Roswell, Georgia. Okay. So for some, this may be a distraction. And for others, it may be one of a big pillar of your business if you get serious about it and you get consistent about it and you build the systems around it and you build your network and you tag everyone appropriately and you follow up with everyone appropriately, etc. But if this seems like a distraction to you, fine. Just understand it's an income possibility and go find some leads locally. Does that make sense? But it's just like any other income stream. It will work if you work it. And if you don't work it, ain't nothing gonna happen. Make sense? All right, beautiful. All right, I'm gonna cut it short this morning because of Gould. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.
Take it easy.